I never wished my mom a happy Mother's Day. She died when I was 21, and in those days in Ireland, we didn't have Mother's Day. So when I came to America in my mid-20s, I met my first Mother's Day. And I saw all the fuss about praying for mothers and giving them gifts and flowers and all this. And so I said to the other priest who was with me down in my first parish, St. Gregory Nazianzen, and I said to him, are godmothers included in this Mother's Day? See, I knew nothing about it. Are stepmothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, grandmothers? And he was rather fuzzy in his answer. He wasn't quite sure if you had to have a baby to be included or not. And I continued the conversation with him, and I said, I'm not sure I like this Mother's Day. What about the women in church who wanted to be mothers and couldn't? Aren't there going to be some of them? Does that make it tough on them? What about nuns, if we have sisters in church? What about people who had abortions and then couldn't have a child? What's it going to feel like for them? And he didn't have any good answers that I remember. But today, I'm kind of still there. I'm kind of still there. That Mother's Day is beautiful for mothers. But when you emphasize one group, and there's another group that can feel a sadness. I went to Costco a couple of days ago and I saw all the flowers. Mother's Day is a big deal here. There was a survey done some years ago which enhances the idea of Mother's Day, of little boys. And they were asked, if you're feeling sad or you want to talk to somebody and you want comfort, who do you go to, your mom or your dad? 23% said their dad. A whopping 77% said their mom. That's the way we treat mothers today. They're the ones with compassion. They're the ones have more love than the dads. They're the ones who care more. There was a great cartoon on the Saturday Evening Post some years ago, and it was a picture of about a 6-year-old boy, and he was on the phone, and he was talking to someone, and he said, Mom's in hospital, and the twins are here. My big brothers are here. My dad is here, and the dogs are here, but we're all alone. Captures, doesn't it, the sense of what mothers can do for us. And as I'm thinking of my mother, whom I never wished Happy Mother's Day for, I'm very conscious of her today and remembering in the spirit of the gospel where Jesus said, the day will come when I will be in the Father and you will be in me and I will be in you. This presence to each other. And I was reflecting how my mother died 60 years ago, is still present to me in strange little ways. It's like if I don't finish my dinner and I'm wasting food. Clean your plate. People starving in wherever. And those were the days where wasting food was a sin. And I remember my mother going to Mass every day for her holiness, for making us all say the family rosary together at night. She was the power, the religious power. I look back on her now as a holy woman. And one of the other things that I think she has taught me, I hope I'm right, she taught me kindness. Kindness for other people. And she would often quote the gospel, judge not and you will not be judged. And when I went to the seminary, I found out that that's in Matthew's gospel, chapter 7, verse 1. And I couldn't wait on my first vacation when she'd say, judge not and you will not be judged. And I would say, Matthew 7:1. I never did, but I fantasized about that. But as we all think of our mothers today, I was asking myself the question too. What do I have to forgive my mother for? And I think the passing of time, one of the glorious things about it, there must have been things. Ask me 40 years ago, I'd have remembered. But today, I couldn't come up with anything that I needed to forgive my mom about. And I'm delighted with that. Maybe that's part of the aging that we have to go through, to let things go, whether through repression or forgetfulness or brain cells dying or whatever reason. But I look back on my mother with that fondness. And like I was saying, my mother being with me still, it's not to be compared to how Jesus is with us. It's just a fraction of an insight. But Jesus said to us today in the gospel, I will not leave you orphans. I'll not leave you orphans. The day will come, and I quoted this already to you, when I will be in the Father, and you will be in me, and I in you. And in the shadow of how my mother's presence with me gives us some sense, the presence of Jesus with us is more grand, more absolute, more intense, more real. And we come today on this Mother's Day, yes, to thank God for our mothers, to ask God to bless our mothers if they're still with us. But we also come to intensify the presence of Jesus, who is in us. Gospel is very clear. If someone says to you who's not a Christian, tell me about your God, and you can confidently say, my God dwells in me, and I in him, in some mysterious, great, wonderful, amazing way. And it's that presence that we celebrate today. And some of you may be going through something right now, and it's such an intense pain for you, some anxiety, some pressure, that you aren't hearing a word I'm saying. You're not present to me. And that's okay. I get those moments. But Jesus is always present to us, not as someone just spiritually in a physical kind of way presence, but in a real presence that we talk about in the bread and wine when it changes and becomes the food that nourishes the presence of the Lord already in us. Today, we celebrate that presence as our mothers, in a way, are present to our memories, our thoughts. Jesus is much more present. He dwells in us.